TradingView has tons of different support and resistance tools, but I would say that most of them, maybe more than 90%, are actually not that useful. In today's video, I will reveal my best support and resistance tools, and I will also share with you guys a special indicator that has been in my personal toolkit for quite a while now. But alright, so let's begin here by opening up a clean chart in TradingView. Right now, as I'm speaking, we're looking at Tesla and we are on a daily time frame. But don't worry, you can use all these tools we'll talk about in this video. You can use on pretty much any time frame and any kind of asset. So it doesn't matter if you trade crypto, stocks, or Forex. But now, the first tool I want to show you guys, you want to go up here to Trendline Tools in TradingView, and let's actually begin here with the normal trend line. This is actually a very useful tool. Most people, when they think about this tool, are only thinking about, sort of trend lines and trend channels. But you can actually use it for more things than that. But the first use case, which is very simple, is to use it as a trend line. So for example, right here on Tesla, you can see that Tesla saw resistance right here, resistance, resistance, resistance multiple times. Recently, we actually broke this one. But this is definitely a use case. You can use it to define sort of broader trends. But now I want to show you guys the first sort of tip and trick you can use with trend lines. So if you press on the trend line, so you have it selected like this, and then you press Ctrl C, and then you press Ctrl V. Now you will have a trend line with the exact same slope. So you can actually use this one to now define a trend channel instead, right? A trend channel is basically two parallel trend lines and can also be a very useful tool. But now the third sort of use case we can use for the trendline tool is to use it to define chart patterns. So for example, if we look right here, if we look back a bit, we can see that it looks like, for example, right here, Tesla traded in some kind of either symmetrical triangle, right? You can see one could see this as a symmetrical triangle, or some kind of, one could also maybe almost define it as a descending triangle. I would probably define this one as a symmetrical triangle in this case. But the point here is that you can use this trendline tool to find chart patterns. And by the way, guys, if you want to learn more about chart patterns, I do have a full course about that, and I will make sure to link that course up in the corner. I can also just mention that TradingView has a very nice auto chart pattern tool. I think it's called, maybe if we just search for chart patterns. Yes, it's called all chart patterns here, but this tool is only available for TradingView Premium. But luckily, if you want to try out TradingView Premium for free for 30 days, I do have a special link for that. You can use that link to try out, as I said, try out TradingView Premium 30 days, and you will also get a $15 bonus when you upgrade your plan. So definitely, guys, I will leave that link in the pinned comment and the description to check that one out. But this right here leads to our next tool. The next tool I want to show you guys is this one right here. You go to the trendline tab and then you go down to the parallel channel. So this one is relatively similar, but still very different to the trendline tool. So you still want to use this one, you still need to define a trend. So once again, let's use the same downtrend and then you press. But now you need to press one more time, because you see this tool will automatically draw out a trend channel. So let's try to define this trend channel right here, something like this. And here, one thing that can be useful about this tool, in my opinion, is that you will get this middle line as well. And many times, this middle line can actually act as support and resistance. Some of these touches will be completely random, but some of these touches can actually be significant. So if you want a sort of pretty nice tool that give you a trend channel plus the middle line, I think that this one can be useful. But now, guys, Now let's switch the attention to a very simple but very powerful tool. Or let's actually first, let's first start with this tool. So the next tool I want to show you guys is the tool right here called horizontal line. I think that this is one of the most used tools in TradingView. I don't have any data on that, but I would guess so, because many people use it as support and resistance. So for example, right here, you can see we had a beautiful support for Tesla, bounced 3 times just like that, so people can use it as support. Then you can use Control-C, Control-V, get the line again, some kind of resistance. And this tool, the reason I'm including it is because it's definitely useful. You can use this tool. But in my personal opinion, one thing that is true about support and resistance, and which makes this horizontal line tool not the best tool, is because support and resistance tend to act more as areas or zones compared to perfect lines. Support and resistance will pretty much never be these perfect lines, like for example right here. You can see even in this case, when it looks like a perfect line, in reality you can see that, for example, right here, the price bounced a bit above. Right here, it bounced a bit below. So support and resistance tend to actually be more similar to zones. So the tool I like to use to draw my support and resistance can actually be found right here on geometric shapes. So you press here, and then you go down to the rectangle tool. Because this tool is very similar to the horizontal line, but now you can actually draw out a more accurate sort of zone. So here, for example, I can include all touches. You can also use this tool to sort of extend to historical data and see if the price bounced historically at this level as well. And as you can see, in this case, just like that, we saw a beautiful bounce at this zone. So for multiple reasons, we can see that this is a key level for Tesla. And once again, we can use this rectangle tool to draw out the recent resistance right here. You can see Tesla have been finding resistance, at least 1 time, 2 time right here. So this is definitely a sort of resistance zone to pay attention to in the future. If you want to, you can actually probably use the parallel channel if you want to draw a sort of more broad sloping zone as well. So you can use it something like this. But right, so now last but definitely not least, I want to show you guys one of my favorite support and resistance indicators right here in TradingView. So to do this, you want to go up here to the indicators tab. And then you want to search for simply pivot point. And here, as you can see, we do have multiple different pivot points indicators. And I actually plan to, in the future, analyze these indicators and probably make a video about at least some of them, at least if I find anything good. But for now, I'm simply using the built-in pivot points high-low indicator here by TradingView. So you want to open this one up, and then the next step is that we want to go here and change a few settings. So we go here to the settings tab in TradingView, and what I want to do here, because I have a white TradingView chart, I do want to change this one to white, this one to white, black, and black. And now we're ready to go down here and press OK. And now you will notice something very interesting. You will notice that the first thing we can notice is that the key resistance we saw right here was automatically identified by the indicator. Same thing with that support, same thing with that support, same thing with that support, right? And also our when we draw our trend line, you can see that all of these touches, you can see this one right here, this one right here, and even this one right here was identified by the indicator. So what this indicator basically does is that it helps us identify the most significant high and low points in the market. So we can then later on use these high and low points to find the most significant levels. And here for this one, the standard settings is of course 10. But if you think that 10 is lagging too much, you can of course change that. And if you think that 10 is not significant enough, you can of course increase the length of the pivot highs and pivot lows. One of my favorite settings to find very significant levels is 20-20-20. But by using this setting, you will get less points, and it will also take longer time for the points to appear. But you can also of course decrease the setting if you want more points but more false signals. But alright, so now when you know about the best support and resistance tools in TradingView, you are ready to start using them. And to use them effectively, you have to learn about price action. So now the next step is to watch this course right here. I hope I'll see you all over there very, very soon.